Okay, so we're feeling pretty comfortable with the lower hand, being able to go from low G up to D and from D back down to low G. We're feeling pretty good about the top hand, going from E up to high A and from high A back down to E. Now we're looking at page 7, exercise 2.5. We're going to work through this exercise, but before we do, we're going to work on what is probably the most difficult transition on the entire scale for bagpipes, and that's from D to E. So look at that exercise 2.5 and just slide along. You've got the low G, A, B, C, D. Stop right there. We're going to work on that transition from D to the next note, E, right there about in the middle of the line. So D is the top of our bottom hand and E is the bottom of our upper hand. And there are a lot of moving parts for this transition. So from D, we've got our top hand is completely closed. So high A is covered, all 3 of the top holes are covered, pinky's out of the way. And then everything except the pinky of the bottom hand is off the chanter. So we've got that lowest hole covered with our pinky, and then these 3 fingers are up off the chanter. That's our D. Okay? Now, what happens in the bottom hand to go to E? Everything flips. These 3 fingers come down and the pinky goes up. So don't think about your top hand for just a sec. What happens in the bottom hand is these 3 fingers come down and they all make contact with the chanter at exactly the same time. And at exactly that instant, when they make contact, the pinky pops up. So remember we talked about crossing sounds or crossovers in a previous video. We do not want to have these 3 fingers make contact and then an instant later, or maybe multiple instants later, the pinky comes up. That'll sound something like this. Now, later, we might do that on purpose sometimes, but for now, we do not want that to happen. We want a nice, clean transition. So for now, it's like we're just going from D down to low A. That's what the bottom hand is doing. So we're just flipping from 3 fingers up and a pinky down to 3 fingers down and a pinky up. Go over that a bunch of times. D to low A, D, low A, low A, D, low A, D. Now, what's happening in the upper hand if we want to play an E? Well, not much. It's pretty simple. The ring finger is going from down to up. Now that's pretty simple because it's just 1 finger. The hard part is it's your ring finger, and your ring fingers just do not have a ton of autonomy. So one thing that I do recommend to any aspiring bagpiper is when you're sitting still at a desk, maybe you're taking a class or at work during a meeting, or even when you're driving, lay your fingers out with both hands. Just lay them out on the flat surface. Don't push down on the surface or on your steering wheel. Just lay them out nice and comfy, and just practice raising that ring finger, both together, maybe every other one. You can see that I can't do it. When there's a hard surface, that makes it a little easier because then all the other fingers can rest on it. But our ring fingers just we don't have much cause to move them independently throughout daily life, and so this call upon the ring fingers to suddenly be able to function autonomously in bagpiping is a challenging one. So just work on having that ring finger mobility throughout your days, and you'll get more and more comfortable with it. But that's what your upper hand is doing. It's going from everything down to ring finger pops up. Everything down, ring finger pops up. Pretty simple, though it can be somewhat challenging to do nice and clean just because it's a ring finger. So now if we put those 2 things together, we go from, on the upper hand, everything is down, and on the bottom hand, we got 3 fingers up and the pinky down. We go from that to the bottom hand switches, right? 3 fingers go down, pinky comes up, and at exactly the same instant, the ring finger comes up. So your bottom pinky and your upper ring finger are tied together. It might help to imagine them actually having like a pole that connects them so that they move right together. And then these 3 fingers have a pole that connects them so they move right together. So it's like this is one piece of this machine, here's the other piece of this machine, and they go back and forth. Ding, 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 ding. Okay? Pause the video whenever you need to and go over that a bunch of times until you're feeling pretty comfortable with it. You could do just the finger movements, but it's very helpful to blow some air through your chanter and see what it's sounding like, see if you're getting it clean. And let's try making some noise together. So we're going to go from D to E. Here we go. How'd it come out? Was that nice and clean? You've got to watch, like we talked about before, the crossover of having your pinky stay down. But you've also got to watch for a crossover with your ring finger as well. You don't want to have... See, that's a slightly different crossover than this. You hear that? How that low blip that you heard is either this or this. Either way, it's not what we want. We want to have a nice clean... That you should hear that tone only go up. Do, do, no, do, do, do. So let's go over that. We'll do it together 5 times. If you need to do it more, do it more. Here we go. And expect to need to do it more. Don't feel like I'm saying, hey, if you need extra practice, go get it. No, you'll surely need to go over this a lot of times. So here we go. D to E 5 times. Okay, and again. Two more. Last one. Okay, and now just for good measure, we're going to do 3 times from E to D. Okay, so it's all the same stuff, just in reverse. These 2 fingers still move together in tandem, like there's a pole attached, but they're snapping down. And these 3 still move together, but they're snapping up, all at the same instant. So here we go. E to D, 3 times. I think I heard a little bit of a crossover sound from my own fingers just then. Heard a little bit of a... So keep an ear out for that. Watch out for that. Sometimes you even can feel the buzz in your fingers if that happens. Here we go, 2 more times. Last one. Okay, if you're feeling good about that, we're going to go on to run that exercise 2.5 now. So, exercise 2.5 is everything we've learned so far, just running from the bottom of the scale up to the top. We're going to do it really, really slow once, and then if you want to go over it really, really slow together again, just back the video up, or hit pause and go over it really, really slow yourself. It's helpful to go through watching my fingers move. Sometimes that can be a challenge though because of the mirroring effect. So if that's messing with your brain a little bit, try the diagrams that are below the scale in exercise 2.5 and just use those dots to guide your fingers. But eventually what we're working toward is being able to look at maybe first the letter names for the notes, the G, A, B, C. But eventually what we want to get to is where we can look at the staff and see that note and have that note tell our fingers exactly what to do. So work your way toward that throughout this exercise and all the others that we'll do. So here we go, once through super slow speed. Ready? Okay, don't feel bad at all if you got tripped up at some parts. If you've got this printed out, or if you have a way to mark up your digital version, as you worked through it, maybe circle the parts where you got tripped up, the transitions, like maybe from D to E, for example, or from B to C, where you have to move multiple fingers, and just go over that little transition a bunch of times until that's feeling pretty good, and then back that video up and do the scale again. And if you still get tripped up maybe in different parts, go over those little parts a bunch of times and then back it up and run that scale again. Now we're going to do the scale a little bit faster. Here we go. Good. And I don't know if you would have noticed it if you were playing as well, but I had a tiny crossover sound from D to E that time. Just a little. You hear that? Just tiny, tiny. We don't want that unless we're doing it on purpose, but we're not doing that on purpose yet. So try to avoid that. Okay, let's do it again a little bit faster this time. Okay, we're going to do it again, even faster. Don't feel like you have to be keeping up with this. Back up, back the video up, and do it again with, the speed that you're comfortable with before moving on to the next. Or go over it yourself. You got that book in front of you, so no problem at all. So here we go, a little bit faster. Good. Last time, we're going to do it even faster this time. This will be the last time through for this video. Here we go. Good. Run through that a bunch of times.